Welcome to my hallway. Before we get into anything, I gotta do a fit check. This is one of the 3 outfits that I own. I made this shirt myself. It's got some stuff on the back as well. It's my mycelium mommy shirt. I hope you like it. All right, let's begin. It's nice to see you again. I hope that you are having a good day or are about to have a good day. I gotta be honest, I had a really hard time sleeping last night. I was just thinking constantly about what I was going to say on this episode. It's that thing of, I guess it's not nervousness, but it's that thing of like just wanting to do a good job. And I think the previous one, I had no idea how it would go and if I would get any response to it at all. But now that I have gotten some responses to it, I'm like, okay, people are paying attention, I'm being perceived, everything needs to be perfect. So I'm just like, I think saying it out loud will help me a little bit in just, look, we're just here to have a conversation. I'm just here to talk to you, one on one. That's what I want this to be. So I'm really sticking to that, and all of the thoughts that I had last night that were keeping me awake, I'm disregarding them and I'm just getting into it. Speaking of sleeping, by the way, let me put this book down. I read somewhere, let's face it, it was probably Instagram. I read somewhere that kiwis have natural melatonin in them. So I did an experiment the other day where it's recommended that you eat like 1 or 2 kiwis before bedtime. And so I did. I ate one before bedtime. And let me tell you, I slept like a fucking rock, okay? I slept throughout the whole night, completely lights out, didn't have any dreams or anything. Now, I've never taken melatonin supplements ever, so I have nothing to compare it to, but I did it again the following night. So I did it 2 nights in a row, ate a kiwi before bed. Both nights lights out. And then last night, I had a really hard time falling asleep. I was waking up throughout the night. It didn't feel great. Like when I woke up, I didn't feel completely rested. It just wasn't a good quality sleep, I think. So I'm like, is it because I didn't eat a kiwi? Or is it because of something else? Is it because I am recording this? I don't know. But I wanted to just pass on that tip in case you are someone who is looking for biohacking your sleep. I find it very fun and interesting that we are, at the end of the day, just creatures that Mother Earth has created everything that we need. Next time you're at the store, pick up a couple of kiwis, have one before bed, pay attention to how you sleep that night, and let me know, because I'm so curious. I'm going to be continuing this experiment. I hear you have pretty wild dreams on melatonin if you like take too much, but I can't confirm or deny because I that has never been me. And the 2 nights that I did eat these kiwis, I didn't have any dreams at all. It was just the dictionary definition of lights out. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, that's off the agenda, my kiwi journey, let's talk about and check in with my scrolling journey, with my phone addiction. It's been a week and I feel like I'm making progress, but it is very much a messy process. Right now, I leave my phone in a different room whenever I'm sleeping. I used to not do that to kind of keep myself from picking it up first thing in the morning and scrolling. It's very much an active choice that I have to make to not open up the apps. I downloaded like a screen blocker. I've tried it out before. I didn't like it. Then now, instead of blocking it out during the day, which it's hard, right? When you run an online business and you need to use social media, or like I want to be able to just throw stuff up on stories or like pop on threads and just write whatever comes to mind. And I don't want to be blocked by an app in order to do that. So I figured that my block time would instead be from 7 p.m. until 11 a.m. So it would be like keeping me from doing the private scrolling, if you will. And then when it comes to because I tend to get on like business threads and just scroll there too. But I will say that recently I've been getting the ick. That's like the best way that I could put it probably. I'm just like, what am I doing this for? It's not like I'm going to see like a magic thread around the corner that is going to solve all of my problems. Doom scrolling addiction is similar to gambling addiction in that you're kind of like waiting for that next dopamine hit that's around the corner. It's like the potential of it that keeps you going. I'm feeling with myself that has kind of diminished by now. There's just so much slop. Everything is bad. Like, everything is bad. The thing that I get dopamine from is thinking with my own brain, posting my own thoughts, interacting with people who are enjoying what I'm saying. So I'm gonna do more of that, which is why we're here. Let's get into it. Let me bring out my notes here. Last episode, I was unpacking the statement of fueling obsession in an attention economy where everyone is really striving to get offline. And it turns out that it is something that people were resonating with and found interesting. And I got some really lovely comments, and I wanted to address a few of them before I jump into today's topic, which is more about the how, or like what's needed, and also why I'm the right person to talk about this. I was talking a lot about this idea of even if we are doing offline activities, we are still tethered and connected a little bit, and that in those cases it's important to, as business owners trying to make a living online, that we do have some form of medium that people can engage in. That's our way to kind of weasel ourselves into people's lives if we want them to start developing a healthy obsession with us. I didn't expect any responses. It was truly just me processing my thoughts out loud, which is what this series is. So first of all, thank you for watching. I received this comment from Seals Lockley, who said, I just watched this whilst applying makeup and planning my day, so your wonderful observations and thoughts were spot on, which I was just like, okay. I guess this is something. Another comment that I got from Words by Natalie was, totally agree with the connections you made between being offline / semi-offline and curiosity, and the thing that I said about people who aren't curious don't become obsessed. Thank you for that. No, yeah, I have become obsessed with this idea that people who aren't curious don't become obsessed. Another one from Angelina from Wild Wave Podcasting. Big on the offline activities lately. I just want less stimulation overall, but still be learning things, which is why a medium that you can just pop into your ears whenever you are like, podcasting is such a multitasking friendly medium. I just love it. And then another comment from Pat Perez, who is the CEO and co-founder of a social media platform called Hey Fam. Basically, like, the best way I can explain it is that it's queer LinkedIn. When I say LinkedIn, I mean that very lightly, because it's very much its own thing. It's like closer to LinkedIn than it is to a social media like Instagram, for example. So this is from Kat Perez. I found their perspective to be very interesting too, because I'll just read their comment. I watched the whole thing, and really because I so relate, which is interesting given the irony of my situation as a person building a social network. And I was like, yeah, I would love to hear more about that. Here you have a CEO and co-founder of a social network who is like, I really relate to what you're saying about getting more offline, but at the same time, I've dedicated my whole life towards building a social network. The things that I like about Hey Fam, for example, is that they do encourage like offline activities as well. they have like an events tab, for example, where people can post both digital and in-person events, which I think is like a great way to encourage that stuff. I also got a comment from someone when I posted the previous episode to Hey Fam, someone wanting to be a guest on this, which was very fun. That's something that I did not expect at all either. But then I was like, oh my God, okay, I think it would be cool to hear about other people's experiences in relation to this and how they, in their work, are working with fueling obsession in an attention economy where people are trying to get offline. So if that's something that you would want to see by the end of this, because I have the 5 episodes that are coming out are planned, more or less. But if you, after that, would want to see any guests come and speak on their experiences, or if you would want to be a guest, let me know in the fucking comments, okay? Let's make it happen, I guess. Is this turning into a thing? I think so. I've been yapping for a long time about this. This whole 15 minutes was just the intro. So let's get into what you need. What do you need to fuel obsession in an attention economy where people are trying to get offline? I think the answer is simple on paper. It's hard to execute. It's about making it unique, making it a spectacle, creating a world for people to walk around in. It's a world that they can taste, that they can smell, they can feel it, they can touch it. It's building worlds. Before I get into unpacking that, who am I to say this, right? Like, what the fuck are my credentials? I wanted to get a little bit into why I am qualified to be talking about this. Taking a trip down memory lane, let's talk about my background a bit. I come from the theater. I come from performing. I used to work as a costume character artist. I would be dressing up in these very detailed, professionally made costumes of your favorite cartoon characters, basically. I would travel all around Scandinavia and do meets and greets with children, just do little events and stuff. That's like one part of the experience. But then that job landed me a job at a theme park here in Gothenburg, where I live, Gothenburg, Sweden. It's called Liseberg. Editor Kim here. Hello. I'm about to say that it is Europe's biggest amusement park, which is not true. It is the second most visited theme park in Scandinavia. So pardon that fuck up. In all of Europe, it's the 13th largest one. Bit of a fuck up. Back to Kim. It's smack dab in the middle of the city. It's amazing. I love it there. Their mascot is this green rabbit. They have like a whole family of these rabbits. And obviously, when you're a kid, you can go to the park and you can get to meet these rabbits. At one point, I worked as a rabbit at this amusement park. What I love about it so much is that there is so much care and attention that has been invested into building up this world around these rabbits. There are several characters. The environment it's both our stage as the performers, but also it is a playground for the kids that come to visit and all of the guests. So all of the environments are walkable and interactable, and everything is like themed. You know, it's like someone took LSD and was like, okay, I'm a rabbit. I love carrot. What would it look like if I built a house? And it's just kind of that, like, just rabbit core, carrot core, vomiting everywhere. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's very like hard to explain without showing you. My point here is that it was down to the very last detail, right? Let me tell you an example. We would go out for 30 minutes at a time because obviously costumes are hot. Every time we would come out, it would be very much of an event. There was this door that to the lore of the world, it was an elevator. So like the rabbits were coming up from the ground through the elevator up to the surface to come out and like greet everyone and say hi. But in reality, it's just a two-way door, right? There are lights that show like, okay, they're moving up throughout the levels. One thing that I really loved is on the outside where the entrance to this elevator is, there's a hand print that you put your hand against as a rabbit to call the elevator. And the kids would fucking love this. The rabbits themselves, they only have 4 fingers. So already it's like the handprint has the 4 fingers to show that like only rabbits can touch this. Nobody else can. It's only for the rabbits. Us as the performers, we would always have a tag around our wrists on the inside of the costume, so that whenever we touch it, there's a tag on the inside of this handprint, so that we touch it and activate like the mechanism that starts turning on the lights. Just make it into an event. I just remember like dozens of kids being around the elevator waiting for the rabbits to come in, or coming to want to say goodbye to them and give us hugs and whatnot. And yeah, it was just very, very sweet. You're in this house. It's the house of this, I think there are 5 main rabbits. They're all part of the same family. They all have different personalities and different roles like within the park. The environment that they are in it's like their home, their house. So but it's also a playground. It's also built like a playground. But you would have like framed pictures of the family members and framed pictures of like older family members that aren't around anymore, and so much lore and so many like secrets to find for the kids. It's just a very rich world full of detail. I've been thinking a lot about it, like in my personal work, being like, okay, I have this experience doing costume character artistry. I've been really struggling to connect it to what I do now, which is branding and brand design, like up to very recently, but specifically brand strategy and world building and like this like creative translation. And I've been like, well, like what the fuck is the connection here? Because what do you mean, like what does walking around in a hot costume have anything to do with fucking making logos? I think like here's the connection, right? It's the world building. Having been part of making it so real for people who come to visit. When you are part of that, when you are helping it come to life, it does become real to you. Me and my colleagues, we would talk about these characters as if they existed in real life, because they do. They do for us. They exist in our minds, and we make them come to life. The other thing that I wanted to unpack when it comes to my credentials and experience is, do you know Pippi Longstocking by any chance? Ginger girl with plaids that stick out to the side. You've probably heard of her. Pippi Longstocking was created by a Swedish author called Astrid Lindgren. Pippi Longstocking was created by Astrid, and Astrid is Sweden's national treasure. Like utterly the thing that we are probably the most proud of. She wrote dozens of children's books that handle a lot of really tough topics like poverty and grief and death and things like that. She's not with us anymore, but she's just very, very beloved, and her books keep living on. It's at the point where her stories have been so impactful. There was a big theater park built in her hometown. I don't know what year, but it's been around for a while. It's this massive, massive theater park where thousands and thousands of guests come every year. They get to sit down. It's like outdoor amphitheaters. The stage itself is, again, it's made as a playground. It's made to be interacted with, but whenever the shows are on, they clear the stage, have everyone sit down in the amphitheater and play out the scene, whatever it might be. But it's just like you go there throughout the day. There are many, many different scenes that are being played. I was, again, smack dab in the middle of that. I was working at a stage manager, a stage tech, on 2 of the biggest stages for the Brothers Lionheart performances. Don't know if you've heard about, don't need to get into it. You can look it up by yourself if you want to, but it's a great story about handling grief and death and what happens after death. And it's just like a fantasy story. It's great. There's dragons. I was smack dab in the middle of this. And when you're out in the Swedish countryside, you're literally in the middle of nowhere, and all you are surrounded by is such a like tactile world. Like, these stages were massive. They were fucking massive, and they were built like real places. There were houses that you could go into, multiple houses. There were things inside the houses that you can look at. There were people that were walking around that were dressed up as these characters that you have read about in books that you could interact with and talk to. It was just all so alive. And again, just another example of like being in the middle of a world like that where everything is so alive, and there's a world there that is super unique, and everyone is like in on it. Every single detail has been thought of. And I think that is really, really key. It's the detail, it's the depth. Again, I mentioned this in the last episode, but it's the depth and the detail that makes it special, that makes it unique, that makes it so that people dive into the rabbit hole that you've created for them. They discover, it's the like curiosity is piqued, right? And then they discover more and more things about like, wait, they've thought of this too. You keep being surprised because it goes beyond your expectations around every corner. You're really creating a delightful way for someone to discover something. And when it comes to creating obsession, fueling obsession in an attention economy where people are trying to get offline, I really believe that it is key to pay so much attention to the details and really give them depth, provide people with rabbit holes to fall down. And I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but that is the case. And I know that I've talked a lot about what my own credentials are. I had to go through that a little bit just to kind of explain where my thoughts are coming from, the experience that I have with it. And it's funny because I very recently made this connection, but it's always been there, and it's something that I've always been drawn to. All that is to say, I know shit about building worlds. I had to read that off of my notes. When there are details to grab onto, lore, depth, expansion, it becomes a place you get lost in. It becomes a rabbit hole to fall into. Again, the key is depth, the layers, also the space to allow the depth to slowly expand as you venture further in. And I think that this thing about giving space to the depth to expand in your mind or in your audience's mind, that is very much about getting the fuck off the apps, getting off the short form grind, getting into the long form, because short form provides no space. It just creates stress, I think. It creates stress that it's like we're more so trying to shove as much as we can into our little noggins instead of sitting with it and being like, okay, let me explore this. Let me stay here. Let me stay here and not move on to the fucking next thing. So, you want to fuel obsession around your business or your passion project or whatever it is that you have going on or whatever it is that you're building. My number one tip is to build a rich world around it. And I guess that's the message for this episode. No, but seriously, build a rich world around it. Before this becomes too long, I really want to take my time with these episodes and move through each part of this gently and slowly. Make sure that things are landing. I don't want to rush it. In the interest of following my own fucking advice, I am giving you space for the depth to expand and take space. Next episode next week, I will be going through the tools that you can use to start building a rich world. That's going to be next time. I hope that this was enlightening. Obviously, it's stuff that we already know, but it just helps to kind of put it in perspective and put it into context. It's a topic that I clearly really like talking about. I hope that you enjoyed hearing me yap about it, even though most of it was just me counting up my CV and talking about how the last episode went. But we have our ups and downs with content, okay? Maybe this episode is one that is going to not fly as well, but I still think that it is important for the context to be here. it is important for you to know why the fuck I'm the bitch to talk about this. Because like, I haven't even realized that myself, but now I know. Now I know. All right. I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.